The following is a production of DallasCowboys.com and the Dallas Cowboys Football Club.
How about them Cowboys?
Yeah!
Go Cowboys!
This is Talkin Cowboys. Streaming live from the Dallas Cowboys World Headquarters at the Star in Frisco.
C.D. Lamb, touchdown.
Parsons has sacked it. Prescott keeps it, and he bangs it in for the touchdown.
4-1 final offseason edition of Talkin Cowboys presented by Black Rifle Coffee Company. We welcome you to the Star in Frisco and the SWBC studios alongside Isaiah Stanback, Josh Rodriguez, soon to be Nick Harris, we hope, down the line. Hopefully Nick Harris is here. I am Kyle Yeomans.
Hi, Kay.
Hey, guys.
Welcome back, my friend.
Thanks, everybody.
That other host sucks.
Oh, man. You're not kidding.
He was a nightmare, dude.
No, great job, man. It was a lot of fun listening
it.
to you guys over the last couple of weeks. And, I mean, the FOMO is real. And for those who don't know, fear of missing out, FOMO. Oh, dude. Like, draft weekend, OTAs.
The draft is your thing.
Dude, the draft,
That
was the hardest thing to sit on my hands for ever. And my wife even got mad at me because I was at home and I was still like tweeting and like sending out content and like putting stuff out there. And it's like, she's like, please get off the phone. And I was like, I will after the 255th pick. Like, that's fine.
Yeah.
I will get off the phone.
Right.
But after that's over. So, man, I cannot explain how good it is to be back. The babies are all great. They're all home, which is just we are so thankful for. And they are doing incredibly well. They're growing, and man, they're the cutest little things. And I will cherish these last couple of weeks forever. And but now it's time to kind of get back to the real world. It's been cloud nine for a little bit, just hanging with the family, being around them, and things like that. But now it's time to produce content again because the off season is pretty much over. I mean,
there's a lot going on today.
Yeah, there's a lot going on today.
What off season?
And
What?
There's a lot going on today. We're finishing up our shows this week, and then the next time we're on a microphone, we'll be in Oxnard, California.
Do it.
So that's when it gets really, imperative about this team, especially with the way that this offseason has gone so far. But yeah, good to be back with you guys.
Awesome, man.
No, man, it's great. It's great to hear your voice again, and I think we've all kind of missed hearing that Kyle Yeomans voice on Dallas Cowboys
Some
broadcasting.
people.
There's only one
Some
KY.
people.
Yeah.
Let's talk about some of that stuff going on today. How
Yeah.
about that? We've got some mandatory minicamp. And
What was the first word?
Mandatory.
That's interesting.
There's an emphasis on that word, I feel like, today for a couple of individuals.
You got to be here, right?
You should be here, and you have to be.
Mandatory? That's not voluntary. It's different than voluntary,
not
right?
Mandalorian, but mandatory.
Yeah, it's not Mandalorian.
Okay.
We're not talking Star Wars
No
here.
Star Wars. Okay.
We're talking about a young Jedi, though, and his name is C.D. Lamb.
CD.
Nice.
Now, talking about CD, that's who all the eyes are on. I know Micah had his own OTA mini holdout, I guess you could say, just to not be at OTAs, but that's optional. This is mandatory. So you would expect Parsons to be in the fold. Do you expect CeeDee Lamb to be in the fold, especially after the news of Justin Jefferson's new $140 million contract?
I don't expect it. Now, he might surprise us and be here, and I know a lot of people might feel some type of way should neither one of those gentlemen decide to show up today for the mandatory minicamp. But everybody understands, I think, at this point in time, I think the general public understands now that business is business.
100%.
And there's a team aspect. It's not, I don't want to say it's not personal towards the team, towards the players, your teammates. They understand as well that if you have to sit out to handle your business, that it is not an indictment on your commitment to the team. That it is simply you trying to make sure that this one opportunity that you've been working for your entire life, that box gets checked, because for you to not address it and have regrets later on, that's one thing that you just don't get back. You got to understand the amount of hours, you got to understand the amount of dedication, the amount of sweat, the commitments that they've had. This is their time. And nobody on the team, I would imagine, speaking from a former player, nobody's going to look at those two individuals should they choose not to show up, especially CD, all right? We're talking about CD in the contracts right now.
Of course.
And say, you know what? How dare you not be here during the mandatory minicamp? We have to be here. You should be here. That's usually the public's consensus. That's not coming from the locker room.
If you were in the same position, you would make a similar business decision. Absolutely. This is the time where you make money. It happens now. They don't have the privilege of getting money after they stop playing. You know what I mean? This is where you build that fortune, and it's a business decision, and you have to respect that. And I think everybody in the building respects that. And the clock is ticking at this point. The deal's got to get done, and hopefully you do that before training camp. I think.
I think it's done now.
This week. Come on.
You think so?
Yeah. Well,
I got nothing going on this week. Let's just do it now.
Make it happen. They don't involve us in those financial
No,
decisions.
they didn't reach out to me.
But if they would have listened to Talkin Cowboys, they would have known that this day was coming, because CeeDee Lamb's not the only big-time wide receiver from that draft class in 2020 that's waiting on a deal. Justin Jefferson yesterday, 4 years, $140 million, $110 guaranteed.
Ooh.
It's basically the Dak contract. That's what it is. It's the Dak Prescott deal.
I like the 110 guaranteed, but you know what I liked even more?
What's that?
The 88 at signing.
Yeah, that's
Guaranteed at signing.
Yeah, it's significant.
Guaranteed at signing.
Sign your name
88.
and get direct deposit. 88 million.
By the way, yes, I know Dak was 160, and that's a little bit bigger, but I'm talking from a team piece of the pie standpoint. It is a significant contract, biggest non-quarterback contract in NFL history. And now that you've got two other guys waiting, you've got CeeDee Lamb and Jamar Chase, and neither one of them are in a rush.
They're Mr. Burns in it right now.
to get it done. But if you're the team, are you now in a rush? Does this expedite the process?
Nah, I don't think so.
Really?
I don't think so. I think now
You think it was already kind of a conversation?
I think it should have been a rush prior to Justin Jefferson. Now that Justin Jefferson's deal is done, I think now you know the number.
But I think they were very clear in that they were
You
waiting.
just have to match it?
Yeah, I think now. I mean, when you look at their stats, I mean,
matching that's significant. That's
but you have to. I mean, you know what I'm saying? And every person that you allowed to get their contract done was raising the bar.
Sure.
It was setting the new standard. That was it, right? Like, that's the market now. When Amon-Ra St. Brown got his deal, it was like, ooh, you better hurry up and figure something out, right? You know, all these guys start getting their deals. You had an opportunity. The Dallas Cowboys had a window to set the market and say, hey, CD, this is the highest for a receiver. But now you let other teams dictate what that is, and now you're putting CD in a very powerful position to say, well, now look at my stats, look at his stats. We're considered to be two of the best to do this thing in the game. If he's getting 35, I'm getting 35. Sure. If he got 110 guaranteed, I'm getting 110 guaranteed.
And he's earned that.
And he's earned that right.
Yeah.
So, but the Cowboys had the leverage prior to his comparison getting his deal. Now that his comp has his deal, it's no different than you going to get your property taxes in the house. When you go talk to the city and you say, hey, guess what? I want to get my taxes. They say, well, show me the other houses in your neighborhood that are like yours. That's exactly what just happened with CD and Justin Jefferson. Now Justin Jefferson had just raised the market. Now the Cowboys have to match that.
88 at signing, literally.
It's gonna. Literally. Yes, 88 at signing. But that is it now.
Yeah.
It might not have been. It might not have been the conversation before, but now it is.
Well, they did say, granted, they were waiting for leaves to fall as far as wide receivers around the league getting their contracts, and this was the big. This is the I'm going to steal Patrick Walker's tweet here. This was the redwood that fell. You know what I mean? This is what you expect.
He's so articulate.
He really is. He's got a way about him, but. No, it's facts, though. This is the one that you really needed to get out there in order to determine how much you're going to pay CD. Yeah. Their stats are so similar that the output is so similar for both of them that's the number now. And do you give him $1 more than you did to Justin Jefferson? Whatever it takes, but that is the number you're playing with. That is the bar.
What would you do with the CeeDee Lamb contract? I want to hear from the text line, 817-290-3298. 817-290-3298. Do you pay him now? Do you let him play out a year, which I don't think anybody wants to do?
No way.
There's no way. But do you feel like this adds pressure is probably the question I should ask to the front office to get a deal done? Because we know CD's party is looking at that and saying, wait, maybe we can wait until Jamar Chase's deal comes down.
Nah, I don't think Jamar Chase is in that conversation with those two. I think he's really good receiver, but I don't think that
he's dealt with more injuries.
He has, and I don't think that that's the comp, right? I think Jamar Chase will come in below that. Now, Jamar Chase is happy as well.
See, but it doesn't always happen in terms of like ratings. If we're talking like Madden ratings, I agree with you. No. I think Justin Jefferson, CeeDee Lamb are right there, and they're both very, very good. Jamar Chase is probably a step below that.
Sure.
But when it comes to contracts, it doesn't necessarily go that way.
You're absolutely correct.
They can reset the market with Jamar Chase
could.
just as much as they did with Amon-Ra St.
I
Brown.
don't foresee that happening. Yeah, you're absolutely correct. It can happen. But I don't foresee that happening. I do believe that Jamar Chase is probably happy now because he's like, okay, well, thank you, Justin Jefferson. Now I can come in right underneath you. You know, if that's the case, I don't see him saying I should get more than Justin Jefferson. I can't see that. But in terms of the Dallas Cowboys in the position that they now find themselves in, I think both them and CD are probably in a more relaxed state now. And some people may not agree with that, but I think that they were probably more on edge prior to this deal coming across yesterday because they didn't know. And there's real negotiations, right? You want this. No, I don't think we should want that. Well, I believe that. And it's back and forth. Right. But now that you're literally the person that we were comparing you to, that number is set. Okay, now we know where we're at.
Right.
Now we know where we're at. Now it's okay. Now we don't have to bicker back and forth. Now we're talking about how much money do you want at signing. Now we're talking about playing around with the salary cap. That's what we're now talking about. It's no longer the actual number. Now it's just how much money do we give you in cash.
Piece of the pie. Yeah, that kind of thing.
Exactly.
And how do you fit that under Dak's contract as well? And just with the salary cap situation that you have at the moment.
And some of the other, that's the thing is some of the other dead cap situations and some of the where this offseason is really pointed to is this is not an offseason to spend.
Right.
But if you were going to spend, it's going to be guys like CD and Micah and Trayvon, or not Trayvon, Duron down the road.
Yeah. Right.
Whenever those contracts are coming. This is the time to do it. I think you got to get it done.
Bean brought up a really good point yesterday. It's like how much are the Vikings paying JJ McCarthy? You know what I mean? It's
Nothing.
like that's a part of why they're able to get this deal done.
Do they have any dead cap with Kirk Cousins on there too? With him leaving this year,
look it up.
I don't know if they do or not. We'll find the answer to that. While you're looking for that, and before we take our first break, we want to spend some time to remember one of the greats, the legend. Larry Allen passed away yesterday, or Sunday, rather, at the age of 52. And honestly, you've seen it on social media. You've seen it on different platforms throughout the last 48 hours or so. But the amount of respect, the amount of admiration, and the amount of sadness from this moment specifically has all just kind of compounded in the response from the league and from those that were close to Larry Allen. And I first want to say condolences to the family of Larry Allen and really what he brought to the table, not only as a football player, but as a man as well, because he leaves behind a couple children and a wife as well. And he was only 52 years old, but the impact that he had in those 52 years will always be remembered for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, everybody that I've spoken to that has had a relationship with Larry Allen has nothing but positive things to say about him. Every teammate that he's ever had, I know a bunch of guys that have played with him, old school guys and relatively new school guys that were kind of in my realm at the end of his career. They all had nothing but positive things to say about him. Talked about his friendship, talked about his leadership, talked about his wisdom that he obviously passed along to some of the younger guys that were up and coming. You hate anybody passing. You hate obviously guys who have had tremendous impacts passing, but the impact that he's left not only for the organizations that he's played for, but the entire league, you really feel that in this regard.
It's it's incredibly sad, and you also feel sad for the players that he played with and the people that are in this building every day. I think of Nate automatically, and it's just I can't imagine how heartbreaking that is. Granted, I haven't talked to him about it, but I
talked to him yesterday.
Yeah, that's it's tragic, but still will be remembered as possibly the greatest offensive lineman to ever be a Dallas Cowboy.
One of the things that has been a positive, even if you can just find the good in anything, over the last 24 hours is the amount of highlights and stories that have come out with Larry Allen. And, of course, we've had limited interaction with Larry. He wasn't around the building a ton. But, man, you feel like you get to know him, seeing the clips on the sideline, seeing the highlight reels, the workout tapes. I mean, we were just before the show, we were taking a look at his bench reps at the Combine and just how special he was as an athlete. And
that's one of my first memories of football. That's one of my first football memories because I didn't watch a lot of football growing up. I wasn't a football player primarily until I was 13. But
you were more into badminton.
Yeah, exactly. Badminton, pickleball. But I remember watching that because I like the skills competition. I'm like, this is competition. I'm going to watch this. And I remember seeing him lift that weight. And I'm like, bro, I don't know how much weight that is. But this dude is moving that like it's a toothpick right now. And he's just a mountain of a man. And you just hearing the stories of how this dude used to throw guys around. I remember one of my ex-teammates, Tank Johnson, posted on his social media page yesterday about, his first time playing against Larry Allen, how he watched the film and was shook to play him. And if you know Tank doesn't really get scared. So for him to say that, and then he gets in there and cracks a joke like, please don't hurt me, man. And like Larry just smiles at him. It's just cool to hear these stories. Speaking with Nate yesterday, I've checked in on Nate just to, see how he was doing. And Nate was just, Nate being positive. He's like, man, I'm just choosing to remember the good times.
And Brad Sham said it this morning. I was listening on the way into the flagship 105.3 The Fan, and he was saying on the Sean and RJ show about he was so feared from a front seven standpoint. Mm-hmm. He's like, you would have these guys that were uber confident, overconfident, strongest men in all of football. And then they would go up against Larry Allen, and they would just run away. They would cower at the fact that Larry Allen was coming his direction and working that direction. So it really was he was an unbelievable player. And even though, of course, I was limited in my time of getting to see Larry Allen, you just know, man, he's a legend, and he will always be remembered around this building. Also, it's a good reminder to everybody out there, check up on your friends, check up on everybody, just because you never know. You never know when something like this can happen. He was 52. He was on vacation with his family. Things happen quick and out of the blue all the time, and so you never want to leave anything any page unturned all the way.
Give them flowers while they're still here.
No doubt.
Emmett Smith even had a very tearful video he posted on social, which is hard to watch, but I mean, still a tribute to a very special person.
No doubt. Rest in peace, Larry Allen, the legend. Larry Allen, passing away at age 52. All right, when we come back from the other side of the break, I need you guys to catch me up on the offseason.
Okay.
I want to, since this is our final offseason episode, we're going to go through the major milestones of this Dallas Cowboys offseason, the draft, free agency or lack thereof, schedule release, all these different things as kind of a hodgepodge offseason for dummies segment coming up next to just set everybody up for training camp, and then we've got a training camp preview in the final segment when we come back with more Talking Cowboys.
Todd thought it would be secure to jog in the cheetah savanna. Todd believed the big cat repellent he bought online was reliable. And now, Todd is trying to be faster than this cheetah that can run 80 miles per hour. But the good news is, Todd has AT&T 5G that is fast, reliable, and secure. And he learned the best thing to do is stop running and toss her the backpack with the beef stew. AT&T 5G. Fast, reliable, secure. It's not complicated.
5G requires compatible plan and device. 5G may not be available in your area. See att.com/5G for you for details.
Black Rifle Coffee Company serves premium coffee to people who love America. When you drink Black Rifle Coffee, you are directly supporting veterans, law enforcement, and first responders in your community. Black Rifle's expert roasters love coffee almost as much as Texas loves football, so it makes sense that America's Coffee partnered with America's team. Go online at blackriflecoffee.com and fuel up with the official coffee of the Dallas Cowboys. That's blackriflecoffee.com to fuel up today.
Cowboys fans, after that move, we've just coined the term Rowdy Replay. Let's roll back the tape.
Okay, there's our mascot Rowdy cheering on the boys. And now he's on his phone, on his Bank of America mobile banking app?
Staying on top of his finances with his virtual financial assistant, Erica.
Bank of America's digital tools are so impressive. Cowboys fans just can't stop banking. Learn more at bankofamerica.com/can't-stop-banking.
Erica is only available in the English language. You must download the latest version of the mobile banking app, only available on select mobile devices. Message and data rates may apply. Member FDIC.
Welcome back into Dear Doctor, the show where I answer life's questions with an ice-cold can of Dr. Pepper. Sheila, let's hear from our next caller, would you?
Dear Doctor, my friend supported me during a tough time, but what's the right gift that says, thanks for being a shoulder to cry on?
Okay, this one's easy. I say give her a delicious Dr. Pepper. Nothing says, thanks, girl, better than a one-of-a-kind soda. Yes, any Dr. Pepper flavor will do. Now, just a reminder that I don't need to be a real doctor to know that Dr. Pepper is the one you deserve.
Back to Talkin' Cowboys.
Back here on Talking Cowboys, presented by Black Rifle Coffee Company, alongside Josh Rodriguez, Isaiah Stanback, soon to be Nick Harris. I'm Kyle Yeomans. All right, I've been gone for the last month and a half, almost 2 months. I need you guys to catch me up on a little Cowboys offseason. So this is our offseason for dummies.
Okay.
By the way, $25 million of dead cap.
28.5.
28.5. Excuse me.
Don't forget the
For
25.
Kirk Cousins in Minnesota, based off of our last segment conversation about CeeDee Lamb. So they paid him even with some significant cap number, not to mention the Danielle Hunter, not to mention Marcus Davenport, and a couple other dead money contracts that the Vikings had to navigate around. All right, I'm going to start with draft class. Draft class overview. Of course, Tyler Guyton out of Oklahoma was the first-round pick. You traded back, and you take an opportunity to take a swing at some offensive linemen with both Tyler Guyton and Cooper Beebe out of Kansas State. I want to start there. What's the expectation for this draft class? What do they need to show you this offseason to provide some hope going into a brand new season?
Physicality and consistency. I think you have to bring an attitude to this offensive line that has, in totality, I feel like has been missing. Not to say that, again, I say in totality because I don't think that as a unit they have been feared for some time now.
Agreed.
I would like to see this offensive unit be feared. And I think that the addition of Big Cooper Beebe at the center position, I'm excited to see him more than I am about anybody else in this draft. Tyler Guyton, obviously a big fella moving over to the left side, and going to see what he can produce over there. Hopefully he can be stout. He's going to have a nice little introduction to the NFL in week 1. So we'll see how that goes from between now and then. But if these guys can assert themselves as a unit, not as individuals, but as a unit, and they can work in symmetry with each other and be a road grader to the point where the Cowboys can feel confident enough to run the ball and get 3 to 4 yards a pop every single time.
With any running back.
I think that this team is a complete problem on the offensive side of the ball, but that's what I'm looking for from this draft class, specifically on the offensive side.
I think you're looking for a chip on their shoulder. I think definitely Cooper Beebe has that, being drafted in the 3rd round. Granted, he was a first-round grade for a lot of people. And I think he's kind of become the overall favorite of the draft class, if that makes sense, because of the value that you picked him at. I want to see attitude from the offensive line. I think it is a complete overhaul. And that was clearly the Cowboys' objective going into the draft. Is like, all right, let's remake this offensive line. You lose your center, you lose some depth, and I think it just makes sense to me that you completely go in with a new mindset of like, we're going to maul people, we're going to get them out of the way for whoever is running the football. I'm also really looking forward to Maris Lufau. I really want to see how he contributes on special teams. Granted, we have a new special team. We have a new kickoff rules and everything. So I want to see how he impacts there, and then hopefully gets on the field as well on defense. So there's a lot of hopium on my end. I'm a homer by heart, so it's going to be hard to kind of dissuade me from this draft class until I see otherwise.
I'm interested in Lufau because whenever that pick was made, I mean, that was a 3rd-round pick, late 3rd-round pick, and I had a late 4th-round pick on him, or grade on him. I wasn't excited about it then, but then hearing the plan that Mike Zimmer has for Lufau, I think kind of turned the tide a little bit for me. And that doesn't always happen. I'm positive just by nature in my own right. That doesn't always happen especially when it comes to the draft, because I've got a pretty good idea, at least watching these guys, how I feel like they'll fare. Of course, we've been wrong before. Lufau, with his ability to blitz and go downhill and play in between the tackles and find holes like he did. When you go back and you watch him at Notre Dame, he did it a couple times, but he didn't do it all the time. If that's his role, I think he would have some success. And so I think there's some excitement there. I was really excited about the Marshawn Nealon pick in the 2nd round. I think
which is a surprise for everybody.
I think it was a surprise that he was there.
Yeah,
a lot of people had him as a late 1st, early 2nd round pick. So when he was there, Dallas didn't need edge rusher. But we've gotten onto this front office before for window dressing their board and only getting needs. That's what got them in trouble with the 2023 class. If you in the 2nd round, Luke Schoonmaker, you needed a tight end, you went and got one. They didn't do that. They said, hey, who's the best player on our board? Here's this Marshawn Nealon cat. He's pretty good. We got to know him at the Senior Bowl. We got to see him at the Combine. He was phenomenal in both instances out of Western Michigan. let's make it ride, or let's pick it and let it ride and see what happens. And so I'm excited to see what he does. I think he's going to have some success in training camp, probably turn some heads. Plus, I think it puts some pressure on Sam Williams, another former second-round pick. That one might have been a little bit of a pigeonhole where they needed an edge rusher that class, and they went with Sam Williams, who they loved, by the way. But now it puts pressure on him because it's win or go home in that position battle. That's one of the ones I'll be keeping an eye on whenever we go deeper. But we've heard about the draft class quite a bit. Let's talk about some of these free agent additions. Very quick.
Yeah.
This will be a
pretty
quick,
fast segment.
quick 1, 2, 3, bang, 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 because that's about as much as they've added. Eric Kendricks at middle linebacker is probably the number one contributing factor.
Probably.
It's got to be.
Yeah.
Ezekiel Elliott comes back.
Of course.
That's an interesting one. That's more of maybe a name and then a running back by committee approach. But out of those two, who do you feel like plays the biggest role, Kendricks or Zeke? And I asked that in a legitimate way because I think Zeke has to carry the football significantly in order to be on this team.
I believe that Kendricks is essential to the success of this defense, just from the standpoint of being able to relay and quarterback what the new defensive coordinator Mike Zimmer wants. I think it's important to have a confident, calm voice on the field that's able to relay that information. You know what I'm saying? In an effective way. I think offensively.
The translator.
Yes.
Yeah.
And just like, hey, like, get over. You're in the wrong gap. Or guess what? I need you, and I need you in this shade, or whatever it might be. Like, just little things like that. Having that confidence there instead of just kind of hoping that you're making the right decision.
A player coach type.
Yeah.
You know?
So I think it's going to be important from that standpoint. And I honestly think that it's more important to Dak that Zeke is here than it is for Zeke to be here for the rest of the team. And people might think that I'm crazy. But I think for what situation Dak is in, I think it's very reassuring for him to have his sidekick with him, to have his best friend with him.
Yeah.
Having your man right there, 100 grand, sitting back behind you or sitting right next to you in the gun, and knowing that he has your back, knowing when you might be getting flustered or might be getting, whatever's going on in your head, being able to tap you, be like, you're good, I got you. Calming the seas for him. I think it's more for Dak's mental and the calmness of him going through this season, playing in his last year, as we now see kind of is come to fruition, than it is as effective for Zeke to be a contributor in the running game. I know a lot of people are looking to him for that, and obviously that's his job. Yeah. But I think he'll have a greater impact on Dak than he'll have in the running game.
I agree. I actually agree with that quite a bit. The pass protection side of things, I think he will have a significant impact. He can still block. Let's not get it wrong. Like, he can still get up there and protect Dak in a sense. So, yeah, I think even based off of the mental and physical side, Zeke is there to help Dak out. Yep. Do you think he's going to carry the ball more than these other running backs like a Rico Dowdle or even a Royce Freeman, who was another addition in the offseason? Probably about the same. They'll share those carries.
Similar workloads.
Opportunity for Deuce Vaughn maybe to get a carry or two. He's got to show out in training camp significantly.
I think Freeman's your workhorse.
You think so?
I think he's got
really.
Even your short yard guy?
I do.
I think he could be that short yard guy.
I think with Zeke, you're looking at a different Zeke. You can't expect 2016
hurdling.
Yeah, 60-yard run. And especially if you saw him at all in New England, he's running tough. And I think with this, what we just talked about, this new look offensive line, I think they're going to pound people into the ground. I really, really do. I mean, that's the hope. That's the hopium again. But part of me feels like it's just going to be a bowling ball situation where you're just going to keep inching your way down the field. And
3-4
now
yards.
The short yardage isn't cute anymore. You know exactly what we're going to run in the red zone, and it's going to be Zeke.
Yeah.
I have high expectations, but I'm cautiously optimistic when it comes to Zeke. But I do think he's going to contribute more to this team this year than Eric Kendricks will.
I like the way that you put it. It's a different contribution or
it's a
contribution.
Different build.
Different Zeke.
Yeah.
Different Zeke.
It's like Frieza and Cell, like upgrading in Dragon Ball Z. You know what I mean?
It is unfortunate, and I think there's a significant overreaction by certain parts of the fan base about this offseason and the lack of movement. Because on paper, this is still a really good team. You've got all these all-pros. You've got significant contributors at each level of your offense and each level of your defense. Are you a complete team? I think you're close. Are you a better team on paper this year than you were last year? I don't think I can say that. I don't think after this offseason. So I think there's a significant portion of overreaction, but also a significant portion of criticism that needs to be placed on this offseason, because we just mentioned all three of the outside signings. Ezekiel Elliott, who you bring back for a homecoming. Eric Kendricks, who is a veteran who you expect to have some significant impact. He's probably Stephon Gilmore of the linebacker core. That's kind of what he was, or what Stephon Gilmore was to the corners last year. That's what Eric Kendricks is this year to the linebackers. And then you bring in Royce Freeman to be a running back by committee contributor. So you haven't done anything this offseason, but you look around and you still have Micah Parsons. You still have CeeDee Lamb. You get Trayvon Diggs back. You have Deron Bland. You have one of the best special teams units in all of football in a year where special teams is going to be significant. And you've got a quarterback who was second in MVP voting and has been better and better every year he's been healthy through an entire offseason. And last time I checked, Dak has been healthy all offseason. So I think there's ways you can be optimistic and ways you can be critical of this offseason. But there's, at the end of the day, you still got to produce, and this team hasn't done that in the playoffs yet. So I get the criticism. There have been some changes, though, from a coaching staff standpoint. Coaches that have come in and completely flipped the script, mostly on the defensive side of the football. Defensive coordinator, of course, Mike Zimmer. We mentioned him already. Greg Ellis is in here. GE. Yeah, GE, baby. It's been fun seeing him around the building. Have you gotten to talk
I haven't bumped into him yet. No, that's my dude, though.
He's down there every once in a while. He's
Nice.
always just so good to talk to. Yeah. Christian Garcia's, Paul Gunther. There's a couple of other guys. I mean, Al Harris is back, which is great. I think having him back is a significant one. And then defensive line coach Jeff Zagonia was also an addition.
The house.
I think this is probably... This is an all-encompassing answer, not just the new coaches. Or question, not just the new coaches. Which coach is under the most pressure this year to produce? Produce from a unit standpoint, an individual standpoint, or a team standpoint?
I'm going to take Zimmer out of this because I feel like that's unfair.
It doesn't even count. I mean, he's just...
But I'm going to go...
I don't even know if Zimmer's the answer, though.
Oh, no. I think Zimmer is the most prominent in terms of the magnifying glasses on him because he's over all these coaches, right? In terms of the defense side of the ball. So I'm gonna remove him from the equation.
Okay.
I'm gonna go straight to Jeff Zagonia. How you pronounce his last name?
Zagonia. I think so.
All right, so I'm going to go to defensive line coach, okay? I believe that he has the most on him outside of Zimmer, simply because of the fact he is being tasked with making this defensive line be stout and stop the run. Once again, the conversation is presenting its ugly head, and I don't think that he has the personnel on the interior defensive line to do what he wants to do. So it's going to be interesting to see how he gets production out of guys that we've been looking for production from. How does he get that out of them? Right? How do you pull that out of guys? How do you pull production out of Mozzie Smith coming off of being underweight, coming off of shoulder surgery, right? Everybody's looking at his weight right now and questioning. Well, it's kind of hard to come from somebody who had 3 shoulder surgeries. It's kind of hard to gain weight when you're trying to even be able to lift weight. Right. So we have to wait and see what he reports to camp at. But how do you get production out of guys who have been underwhelming in some sense? And then how do you connect with guys with your style of coaching that might not be receptive to that style of coaching? You know, and like there's a lot of things that take place by replacing a coach. So I think that it's going to be very interesting from his dynamic because he doesn't seem like one that's going to change his style. How do guys adapt to his coaching style, and how does he pull greatness out of guys who have shown flashes of it in the past?
I think the easy answer would be Mike McCarthy because everything is on the line for him. This is his final year of his contract. You also have to look at Brian Schottenheimer too. I think because of how this offense sort of skidded the first 5 games up until the Chargers game, I think it was, when they finally got rolling. That installing that new offense is one thing, but carrying that success over now that granted you have a new running back, but you have a lot of the same pieces in place on the offensive side of the ball. How does that translate now that it's been installed for a full year?
Yeah.
Do you get up and running right away going into year 2 of this offense? And granted, it's the last season on Mike McCarthy's contract.
It's a good point.
All the pressure's there, I think.
I agree with you. I think that's the easy answer. I'll throw one other name in there. I'll say Scott McCurley as the linebackers coach. I think linebacker has been a question mark mostly due to injuries. And he hasn't had a whole lot to work with because of injuries and depth at that position, and they didn't necessarily address it a whole lot this year. So now it's kind of on Scott McCurley. It, of course, falls underneath the Zimmer umbrella as well. But they've got to get something out of this linebacker core. They've got to get some sort of consistency out of these players in order to be successful defensively. So I'll throw him into the mix, but the guys that you mentioned, I think all have some level of pressure. Every coach has some level of pressure.
This whole team, there's pressure on all
everybody.
Of it. It could blow up.
It's pressure on everybody because if a head coach is not retained,
who's staying?
Exactly. Nobody's job is safe.
Yeah, no. All right, 2024 upcoming schedule, the last of the 4 pillars of the Cowboys offseason. We hit draft class, free agency, coaching changes, and then now 2024 upcoming schedule. I don't want to list the whole schedule here. You can go on DallasCowboys.com to find it. What is the toughest part of the schedule, Josh?
That early half. You have the Browns. Soon after that, Ravens, Steelers, Lions. You know, that whole that run there is going to be tough.
Steelers were a playoff team a year ago, right? Or did they just?
I think they did squeak into the playoffs.
I think they squeaked in. I can't remember.
Yeah, because I think the Browns
did not. Did they?
I think they beat them in the first round, if I'm not mistaken. But then
right.
again, this isn't talking Browns.
Yeah. But you think that's that first part of the schedule's
that first part is rough, man. But everything before the bye, you have a bye week 7, and then you just have to play the 49ers after that. So
yeah,
Bills beat them in the playoffs, so they did make it.
Yeah,
the Bills beat them. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that first portion of the season is trash. It's terrible. It's a lot to take on.
But it's the first portion of the season.
But it's the first portion of the season. But it's not like it gets easier. Right, in terms of where we're at today, that 8 through 11 is a beast. As a matter of fact, I'm going to extend it and say 8 through 12 because I think obviously coming off the bye, you go straight into 49ers, which is awesome because you have time to prepare for them. But the San Francisco 49ers, I think Atlanta's still trying to figure things out. But then you got Philly, you got a heck of a great Houston Texans team, and I think the Washington Commanders. I think they are going to present problems for the Dallas Cowboys this year as it stands right now. Okay, we'll see how things play out, but I foresee Washington being a lot more competitive than everybody's giving them credit for.
I
know I'm on my own island there.
They've got a long way to go. I like Dan Quinn too, but
who's throwing the football in Washington? You know,
I hear you. It's not just a one-sided game.
I know.
It's not just a one-sided game. So
it's gonna hurt.
Yeah. So
that game's gonna hurt.
It'll be Jaden Daniels. That'll be throwing the football,
yeah,
or running it. I mean, either one. He's a great player. Don't get me wrong. He's a good player, but I don't think he's not that guy yet.
I don't disagree with you,
but I
don't foresee them being the team that's going to be throwing the ball around either. So
you're right.
So I think they're gonna try to control the ground and then defensively try to add a bunch of pressure. But that's just my thoughts. But I think that outside of that first portion, I think that 8 through 12 for me is a little dicey.
7 of your first I'm going to go even further. 8 of your first 10 opponents this year all were in the playoffs last year. Browns, Ravens. Make it 7 of 10. I forgot the Giants. Browns, Ravens, Steelers, Lions, 49ers, Eagles, Texans. So that's 7 of your first 10 opponents of the year were all playoff teams a year ago. Doesn't mean they're going to be just as good, but you expect the Texans to be better?
Yes, they will.
San Francisco's still San Francisco. Phillies. You know for a certain fact that Detroit coming into AT&T Stadium wants to absolutely destroy you. And then you've got
going
the Ravens.
For every fourth down.
Yeah. And then you've got the Ravens. You're on the road against Cleveland and Pittsburgh. I agree. I think you're going to learn a lot about this football
team. Yes, you are. Early.
Before the bye,
in the first 6 weeks of the year before the bye, and then first 11 weeks of the year, you're going to know exactly who the Dallas Cowboys are.
Which one of y'all hit me?
Yeah.
You're going to know exactly who this team is.
And I do agree, Isaiah, to a certain point. I don't know that those are necessarily going to translate into wins for Washington, but I think you come out of those games pretty beat up. They're going to be a tough team. Granted, with Dan Quinn coaching them.
I mean, San Francisco, obviously then you play Atlanta. San Francisco, Philly, Houston. Those three right there.
Yeah.
Houston's going to be. That's tough, right? Those 3 out of 4 games are really, really tough.
And if you think you're getting a break with Atlanta, that's not
going to happen.
Atlanta is going to be high flying.
Correct.
Offensively, especially, they're going to be really good. Their defense is going to give up points, but they're going to shoot you out. So you're going to get in a track meet with Atlanta and then have to play Philadelphia, Houston, and then, oh, by the way, you go on the road and play Washington. So, but
all these teams still got to see CeeDee Lamb, is what I'm saying.
Yeah, absolutely.
Hopefully with a new contract. All right.
I got to be the positive side, too.
Let's take our second break. When we come back, it's time to do a little training camp preview. Next time we'll be on the air, we'll be in Oxnard, California. So we'll get you ready with some of the camp superlatives early and often. More Talking Cowboys right after this.
They say champions are remembered, but legends are never forgotten. United Ag & Turf offers a winning lineup of John Deere equipment built to tackle any challenge on and off the field. Legendary John Deere tractors, combines, residential mowers, commercial mowers, compact construction equipment, Gator utility vehicles, and a full line of golf and sports turf equipment. United Ag & Turf, the official Ag & Turf equipment supplier of the Dallas Cowboys. Visit UnitedAgAndTurf.com to find a location near you.
Are you ready to take coffee off your grocery list forever? Black Rifle Coffee Club is here to help. As a coffee club member, you'll get your favorite coffees roasted, packaged, and shipped to your door free of charge on your preferred schedule. Set it, forget it, and never run low on coffee again. Members also get exclusive deals on coffee, products, and discounts from partner brands. Ease your mind and let Black Rifle worry about your coffee supply. Go to blackriflecoffee.com to join the coffee club today.
It's the official men's skincare brand of the Dallas Cowboys, Jack Black. And right now, Cowboys fans can get 15% off their $75 order. Plus, because every deal needs a playmaker, your order will include a free 5-piece skincare set and free shipping. The Jack Black Playmaker is 4 of Jack's favorites and a full-sized intense therapy lip balm. Make a play for the Playmaker at getjackblack.com/Cowboys with the code CowboysVIP. That's getjackblack.com/Cowboys with the code CowboysVIP.
Todd thought it would be secure to jog in the cheetah savanna. Todd believed the big cat repellent he bought online was reliable. And now, Todd is trying to be faster than this cheetah that can run 80 miles per hour. But the good news is, Todd has AT&T 5G that is fast, reliable, and secure. And he learned the best thing to do is stop running and toss her the backpack with the beef stew. AT&T 5G. Fast, reliable, secure. It's not complicated.
5G requires compatible plan and device. 5G may not be available in your area. See att.com/5G for you for details.
Back to Talkin' Cowboys.
Back here on Talking Cowboys, this segment is brought to you by Invisalign, the official smile of the Dallas Cowboys. It's also brought to you by Quaker Oats, a super trusted superfood. Quaker Oats, the official oatmeal sponsor of the Dallas Cowboys. Did you get them in?
You know I freaking got them in, Kyle.
Let's go, dude. Let's go, dude.
9 a.m. show. Your boy got them oats in, baby.
It's good to be back.
Let's go.
Love it.
Love it.
Man. Josh Rodriguez, Isaiah Stanback. I'm Kyle Yeomans. Glad you're with us here on Talking Cowboys. We've done really the Offseason for Dummies episode is kind of the way that I've tabbed this one because I'm the dummy that missed the entire offseason.
Who did that now?
And so I need to be caught up. But now it's time to look ahead. Training camp preview. Who is under the most pressure going into training camp? And I'm going to stick to a player standpoint because we just talked about pressure on coaching staff members. I'm going to say pressure player-wise going into training camp. Josh, I'll start with you.
Going back to my point about Zeke, I think you have to look good running the football with this offensive line. I would say your spot is secure, of course, but man, like I think if he doesn't look good running the ball, then we just got to start looking at who's out there. That's going to be tough, man. That's my gut instinct call. What about you, Isaiah?
Trey Lance.
That's a good one.
Trey Lance.
That's a good one.
Yeah, he's going to have more than his fair share of reps.
Preseason.
And he's fighting for a number 2 position.
Yeah, it's wide open now.
Yeah, I mean,
Cooper Rush doesn't, and as much as Cooper Rush has had some success as the backup quarterback, he doesn't have the safety net of winning those games.
He doesn't have the upside.
The year prior.
He doesn't have the upside
and the youth.
Yeah,
and I think there's a couple things in Trey Lance's category, and the comparison to Dak too. I mean, they're similar type of players, prototype players.
They didn't pick up his 5th-year option.
Nope.
That's true.
So I mean, he is literally. This is his resume.
That would have been an expensive 5th-year option.
Yeah, I mean, he knew that was. He knew it was going to happen.
$23 million.
But this is his. I mean, he is putting himself out there for the world to see, and he's putting himself in a position. I mean, there's a lot to go on. That's going to go on here. Dak's situation is not settled. Everybody's going to assume that he's going to get, that Dallas Cowboys are going to extend him, or if he balls out this year, then they'll re-sign him. Trey, from his perspective, I got to ball out in his preseason with any opportunity that I'm given, just in case things don't go great for Dak. You know what I'm saying? Hey, I'm here. I'm seriously, that's the situation. That's how he has to approach it. If things don't go well for Dak, I'm your guy.
Yeah.
Right? That's how he has to mentally approach training camp. Oh, and by the way, if things do go great for Dak, hey, Cooper Rush, I'm taking your spot, bro. Like that's his mentality coming into training camp, and it has to be that way. So I think in terms of pressure, there's an expectation of Trey Lance now going into this training camp, and he gets a real training camp with the Dallas Cowboys, and there's going to be a shootout between him and Cooper Rush in this preseason.
That would be the answer to my next question as well. What position battle are you looking forward to the most? I think it'd be the backup quarterback battle. And there's a lot of times where the backup QBs get the spotlight at camp because Dak is there, he's the starter, and he's going to be significant in terms of snaps. But you rarely through the course of the season get to see the backup quarterbacks. You get to see everybody else a number of times, but in the middle of the season, you don't see the backup quarterbacks.
At all.
So this is your one shot to look at it.
I think he's in
and this is your one
position.
shot for Trey Lance to try and step up and be that guy.
Oh, he's in a great position right now.
I would also say linebacker as far as positions that need to be kind of filled out at training camp. But then again, my first training camp last year, it was really hard judging linebacker player in general. It's it's really kind of impossible.
It's like linebacker and running back are the two toughest to see at training camp because you don't have the physicality of either of those positions.
They're not tackling at all.
Nobody's tackling.
So it's it's so hard to judge this. Yes, they're in the right spot, but is that a tackle?
You can see win-loss on the defensive line. You can see win-loss.
I tagged Deuce Vaughn on his hip.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You can see win-loss between offensive line and defensive line. You can see wins and losses between wide receivers and DBs, and you can see quarterback play in the right place, right time, right throw, right accuracy, whatever. Linebacker, I'll throw safety as like a half because you can be good in coverage, but then be in the right place at the right time. You can still see good safety play, but linebacker and running back are the toughest by far to see. But I agree with you.
Well, especially with Deuce last year, I kind of thought was like, oh man, Deuce is going to be so special. You know what I mean? And
they're not wrapping up.
It's really hard to judge. It's really, really hard to judge.
He would have broke that. Oh, didn't get in the game. Get thrown out the club.
And we said it last year on this show, but when Deuce was going off in the preseason and he was doing everything he did against Jacksonville and against Seattle, it was like, oh, this guy's the number 2 running back. Like he's right behind Tony Pollard. It's like, guys, he's doing this against guys that he played college against.
Yeah,
that were late round draft picks late in these preseason games
for the NFL.
Where he was an all-purpose yards leader in college. He's not doing it against the top guys.
Correct.
And when he did it against the top guys, had a very sliver of opportunity. It didn't necessarily show out. He's got a chance to show up. I think he's what could be an answer to this next question.
We didn't even talk about some of the things that he has going on right now.
What's that?
About how they're working him in that slot.
Putting him in the slot.
That's what I read.
I like it.
A couple positions here and there.
What would make your confidence level rise after what was pretty much a slow offseason? What would build your confidence in the preseason and in training camp to see?
A trade for a defensive lineman.
Like a
interior,
tackle?
Interior defensive lineman.
Okay.
Yeah. That would build my confidence.
What pick are you willing to give up?
That I'm not sure.
Yeah, like what's the trade value you're willing to part with?
That I'm not sure, but right now my confidence level is low in our ability to be able to defend interior run pressure.
If I'm getting a big-time interior defensive lineman starter who is a known pass rusher, which don't grow on trees and it's probably not going to be easy to trade for, I'd be willing to give up a third-round pick. Like a top 100 pick. I'm not giving up a first or a second.
Coming up?
Yeah. I'm not going to give up a first or a second. I'm not doing that. But
depending on the player.
I don't think there's any other position group that I would be excited about and just say, hey, Cowboys just got substantially better. You grab a receiver, okay, cool, another option. You grab a running back, okay, cool, somebody can tote the rock. Cornerback, cool. You go through all the positions.
Yeah.
I'm not getting excited about any other positions unless you get a big defensive lineman. You get a big defensive lineman, now I'm like, oh, okay, all right, I see what y'all trying to do. Mm-hmm. Like that gets me to the edge of my seat because of who you're surrounding that person around.
Does that mean you feel okay with where this offensive line is now?
I am waiting to see. I am highly anticipating. I think there's a lot of potential, and we use that word a lot. But I think with the guys that they have acquired, if they can put out, right, if the big Cooper in the inside, I think having a big physical presence there now. Tyler Biadasz, thank you for your time, your dedication. But Cooper Beebe's a big boy, and if he can produce with that size and be a road grader, now you're cooking with fire because you got Big Zach on the right and you got Tyler Smith on the left. And if you can put the big fella out there on the left side, if he can go out there and hold down the fort and use his athleticism and be sound and confident and calm with his feet, now you got something rolling. Now you have something rolling. So, yeah, I'm looking forward to it. I can't speak to it until they get the pads on.
Good point. All right, that does it for us here on Talking Cowboys.
What?
Next time, we're on a microphone. We will be West Coast living, West Coast dreaming, California dreaming in Oxnard, California, training camp 2024.
They not like us.
It's right around the corner. Right around the corner, everybody.
It is.
It is.
It was good to be back for one final episode. And
Thank
then
you, Kyle.
I will see you guys back out. By the way, before we leave, speaking of thank you, from here on out, Mr. Josh Rodriguez will be a full-time member of the Talkin' Cowboys crew.
Thank you all very much. I appreciate the opportunity. I'm happy to be here and talk Cowboys. That's the whole point, right?
Can't wait, man. You did a great job hosting.
Yes,
You've always been so much fun to work with, and we can't wait to really dive into it over the course of an entire season. For those of you who might be wondering, John Machota, where is he going? John has his full-time gig with The Athletic, and so he's going to be doing plenty of content on The Athletic. He'll be around some certain things throughout, but he just can't do podcasts anymore. So The Athletic, follow John Machota on Twitter.
Shouts to John.
He's really one of the best you'll ever get to follow. His content is unmatched. His work ethic is incredible.
He's a real one.
And he is real. He is as good as they come. So we love you, John. Yep. Always a part of the Talkin' Cowboys family, and always welcome to come back and sit down whenever you want. And we'll certainly interact with John throughout the season as well. But Josh Rodriguez will be back in that chair when we are full-time coming up in the fall. Special thanks to all those who tuned in and who have always tuned in, subscribed, liked the YouTube channel, subscribed on iTunes and all the different elements along the way.
Where can they find you?
I'm at Kyle_Yeomans, YOUMANS on Twitter.
And I'm not really on Twitter. So
I'm on IG at the same thing, too.
Yeah, y'all can find me on IG at iStandBack.
Josh W. Rodriguez everywhere.
Boom.
Everywhere.
There you go.
I'm and then get everything to say.
Beamer09 in the back. Always.
Oh, yeah, Beamer 09.
Yes, sir.
Beamer,
yes, baby. Coach Mike McCarthy coming up at 10 o'clock, his press conference going into mandatory minicamp. That will be happening today. Stay up to date on DallasCowboys.com. For Chris Beam, for Isaiah Stanback, for Josh Rodriguez, I'm Kyle Yeoman saying so long from the Star in Frisco. We will see you in Oxnard on Talkin' Cowboys.
This has been a production of DallasCowboys.com and the Dallas Cowboys Football Club.
How about this, Cowboys?